Well, hi there everyone, Andy Spoons here. I thought I would try and do something a little different today, and I'm going to be talking through the restoration of this old Stanley number 151 Spokeshave. I picked this up from a vintage store down in Melbourne. You can see that the blade itself is, it's not bad, but there are a few kind of surface dings in it and some chips. The back of the plate is pretty good, so I don't really need to do too much there, but I am going to have to bring the angle all the way back. So let's talk this through. Um, Basically, I'm using the Tormek T-4 with the different diamond wheels. I'm using the standard, and then the fine, and then the extra fine, and then the Japanese stone. So first things first is I will be marking the edge. I'm only going to mark the bevel edge, basically just because the chips are basically along that bevel section. I want to just bring with the same angle all the way back, and I'm marking it just to know, exactly where I need to remove. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, the back is pretty good, but I will do a little bit of work on that as I go. So just bringing back, here's a little tip if you have a T4 or a Tormek, that's a quick way to bring the speed adjustment back. And I'm just checking my angle. I'm going for about 35 degrees. I don't use Spokeshaves very often, so please let me know in the comments if that's a little bit too aggressive an angle. But you can see that I'm using the angle finder just to kind of set up where I need to be. And I'll be taking that angle all the way back until there's no more chips, because obviously that's the first thing you need to do. You need to pull the bevel all the way back past the chips. And so yeah, I'm matching that angle right there, and looking like we're getting pretty good. So with the diamond wheels, you want to add the anti-corrosion fluid in. It's not a really big deal, but it does just stop there being any corrosion, and then just a little bit of water in the T4. Like I said, I'm using the standard, I believe it's the coarse grit. I don't have the information right in front of me, but coarse grit diamond stone, and then it goes up to the fine and then the extra fine. Here what I'm doing is I'm flattening back and checking my square, obviously making that edge completely blunt, but I want to make sure that that front section is completely square, so that when I do line it back up and start sharpening parallel to the edge, that it's all completely good to go. And so you could see it was pretty good on the square, so I'm starting by just basically working that bevel edge, making sure that everything's being taken off evenly. Sometimes I'll work over to one side. You can see I'm focusing more on the right hand side because it just has a little bit of a tip. And then here what I'm doing, it's kind of tricky to see, but I'm basically flattening the back of the blade. And you can see there's a little bit of kind of, I guess it would be convex? Concave, sorry. So I want to make sure that that's completely flat before I keep going. And so I've flattened that out, as you can see. And that's looking pretty good on the coarse grit. And then from there, I basically just work my way up the grits. So working to the fine, and then I move that out, and then this is the extra fine diamond wheel. Just checking everything out. And then what I do is I put on the Japanese stone, just kind of truing it a little bit. And then what I do here is I just see how it's looking with the jig, but because this stone is just slightly smaller, because I have been using it quite a lot, I do the rest of that by hand. And then we've got a little bit of stropping, just on the stropping wheel, pretty standard stuff. Just making sure that I'm, running that grit pattern all the way up to the finest level that I can. And there you go. So the back isn't perfect. I actually do leave a tiny little bit of a micro bevel on the back. But it's looking pretty good. And then there's a few test cuts here. This is just an old sledgehammer handle that I'm checking the cut, and all I'm doing is basically, taking a big long cut and then, you know, stretching it out and seeing how even everything looks. And it's looking pretty good from, you know, a pretty chipped Spokeshave to really nice and smooth on really seasoned wood, and just taking a couple of little angle cuts to see how it feels. And there it is. That is a restored old Stanley Spokeshave. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a good day.